Hello, hello, amigas, and welcome to Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast. Okay, so I have a Hollywood legend. Can I say she is a creative genius? I'm just so happy that I see her a couple of times out of the week because I met her at this beautiful class called Do It for the Dopamine with our gal Pixie. And I had no idea who this woman is. I was like, she just is such a beautiful soul and such it's kind of like a coach. She really sees you for who you are. And then when I discovered who she is, I said to myself, holy shit, Jackie, what the heck? I totally said that to myself. I said, what? How is that possible?
I think you started to tell me about your podcast.
Yes.
And then you mentioned America, I think. And then I said, did you know that I produced Ugly Betty? And then the rest is history.
Yeah.
But what I love about our friendship is that, and when we're in this, the sacred sanctity of our workout, we're just there to love on each other as people, and then when you find out that you have things in common and that you can help make change outside of what we're doing personally, I think that's super cool because I love what you're doing.
Oh my God. Totally, totally. So amigas, this is Teri Weinberg. And I already explained in the intro how badass she is. She is a film producer that when I started researching more, I'm like, holy shit. Wow. She basically discovered America. Like she really did. And I'm like, how does that even happen? Because even though I was born and raised here in Los Angeles, California, for me, the Hollywood scene is so foreign. It's a way in the distance. It's kind of like Pluto, like about it, but how do you even get to there is a whole different ballgame. And so I said, okay, my amigas are gonna love this episode and they will get inspiration from this beautiful soul, because I'm telling you, even in her workouts, I feel like, wow, I kind of think about it in a way where how you do one thing, you do everything. And I know, Terri, when you told me, just to do a little tidbit here, when you told me, you know what, why don't you consider using the 8-pounders? Because I've been using 5-pounders all this time. And she's like, why don't you use the 8-pounders? And I thought about it and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try them out. And it worked. And I was like so happy because that was a win. And then I get to think, I'm like, oh my God, this woman probably is this way with the cast, with the people that she leads. Like she sees the
potential.
The potential, exactly, the potential.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thinking, maybe that's not what she saw with America. So my mind starts going through this haywire. So beautiful soul, Terri, welcome to Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast.
Oh, it is so my pleasure, friend. I'm so happy that I could be here with you.
Oh my God.
And I'm so proud of everything that you're doing, and your amigas should be so psyched to be able to have a window into the things that get you excited and fired up and allow for, growth and support and all those things. I think it's, as you and I both live and die by our communities, it's really important what you're doing.
Yeah.
Especially for your own.
Oh, thank you, my love. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, especially coming from you. Okay, so let's get into it. I know that you grew up in Cleveland and then you went to Arizona State University. Did you study film there?
No.
No.
I had no experience, no real interest in film and television. I mean, I'm a Midwesterner. I was born and raised in Cleveland. I moved to Phoenix, Arizona when I was 14 years old, and had a whole different kind of, formative years there, because I was introduced to a whole new class of people. I was raised in a very white, very Jewish neighborhood, this very small town, very close knit. And then when I went to Arizona, I saw all of these beautiful brown faces. And I said, where have these people been all my life? You know, and I almost felt like I was the one that was trying to ingratiate myself when I started school, because the area that I lived in was primarily Latin, and so I was kind of the minority as a young white girl, and so I thought, okay, I've got to figure out what my place is here, and do I fit in, and can I make friends, and all of that, and so it became a real eye-opening experience for me as a young person. And then when I went to college, you know, my parents were very kind of lower middle class people, so I had to work my way through college. And so I was working full time, going to school full time, and I went to school for interior design and architecture. And it was less about me wanting to be an architect or an interior designer. It was more about for me to say, I can work full time and I can get a college degree. And just to prove to myself that I could do it and have the discipline to get that degree, which I did. And I used that degree to get a job in the world of architecture, and then immediately got a transfer to LA because I knew that I did not want to live in Arizona as an adult. And so I packed up my little tiny car with what I had. I didn't have any friends out here. Um, my first dog and my baby had just died a year or so before that. So me and my clothes and my little guy's urn that sits in front of me are on my way driving to LA. And I found a small little super cheap apartment, and I worked at the Pacific Design Center. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's on San Vicente and Santa Monica, and it's a commercial fabric and really for the it's business to business. And so while I was working there, I started to investigate how I could then somehow break into the world of entertainment, because I knew that living in LA, that was probably the most accessible job that one could have, because the industry is all around you.
You know what? That's
And
interesting that you say that, because as a Latina, like I never heard my friends or anyone in my community say that that is like the see, and it's I love this conversation because, you know, you were saying, okay, I move here, go to Hollywood. I've been born and raised here, and the last thing on my brain is going to Hollywood, because we in my vibration, what I see over there is like unapproachable,
yeah.
unattainable,
Hmm.
you
And
know?
also, if you widen that net, I mean, this was 22 years ago when I came out here, 23 years ago,
Right.
and women in our industry were so far and few between that I felt that same kind of intimidation just as a woman, and then put a woman of color in that position, and it becomes even more challenging, which is absolutely crazy to me. But to look at what our industry has become over those 20 plus years, because of people like me and others who have opened those doors and said, oh wait, I belong in this room. I've earned the right to be in this room. I have the experience, I have the intelligence, I have, the ability to do what you're doing, and I'm gonna bring my friends with me, And so I think that women who have consciously made an effort to not only bang the door down for themselves, but to say, oh, wait, keep it open,
Yeah. Yes.
you know,
Leave it ajar.
come on.
Because
Yeah, and so we've seen a real shift in our industry where not only women and women of color are captains of industry. They're running Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100s, they're running studios and networks, and are in positions of power and in positions where they're the decision maker. And I was one of those people. I ran a broadcast network, and you realize that the responsibility that you have, not only as someone who is a boss to a cast of hundreds, but you're also the vision and the mind and the brain and the gut of millions of people who are tuning into your network. And how do you use that, the power that you have to say, wait a minute, you need to see a story like Ugly Betty. You need to see a story, like all of those game changers that we're seeing from the shows that Shonda Rhimes has created to um, the list is endless now of women who are at the front of and are the faces of series on television.
Oh my God, I am so excited for this. So you mentioned Ugly Betty. I really want to get into that because I I think it was then when I discovered who America was or is actually, and I'm like, what did you see in her for this role?
Well, to America's credit, she had done Real Women Have Curves.
Yeah.
And that movie, she was 16 years old. It was her first job, and she was absolutely just utterly brilliant. And that, from her words, was an opportunity for her to let others see themselves in her
Mhm.
and to see a story that felt real and authentic and heartbreaking and inspirational and have a power within that character. And so I'd seen that film and then had also heard that she was doing a play on Broadway called Dog Sees God. And I happened to meet the writer of that play who said she was on Broadway doing it. And I hadn't seen or heard from her in many years. My creative partner on Ugly Betty was Selma Hayek. And so Selma, also knew of America. And so we reached out to her and said, and we had to audition, ABC, Ugly Betty was on ABC. They made us audition. I mean, we auditioned hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of girls for this role, but we knew all along that we knew America was Betty. We knew. So I flew to New York with the creator of our show, Silvio Ortez, who sadly has passed, but I miss and love him so much. He and I flew to New York to see her in the play, and she was amazing and so grown. So even though she was 20, you could still see how much she'd grown from being 16 in Real Women to finding this different kind of voice and power. And so we had dinner after, and I just fell in love with her. We fell in love with her, and we talked about the series, and we talked about all of the things that she wanted to do as a young actor. And there's a lot of in between that, but we fought for her to get this role, and it was the right choice. And the rest is history. I mean, she was nominated in our first season. We were on that air for 2 months, and not only was our show, but America was nominated for a Golden Globe, and we won Best Comedy Series, and she won Best Actress, lead actress in a comedy. I just got the chills.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's the photo of when we were backstage after we won the Globe, and I'd never experienced anything like that. And they literally, have you ever watched the Globes?
Yes, yes,
Golden Globes. So
yes.
they rush you off this stage, and they just take you through this door, and you walk through like you think you're just going to go back to your seat.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we walk through this door, and we are literally facing 200 reporters and thousands of cameras. And so not only is your heart somewhere outside of your body because you have no idea what's happening to you, but you then walk into a room full of people who are you can't even see because they're snapping so many photos of you. It's the most amazing experience of my life, and I was so proud of America too. But that's a very long way around being able to push through a character like that. This is 2005.
Right.
We'd never seen a Latina at the center of a show. Not only had we not seen her at the center, but one who was not conventionally beautiful, one who was considered to be unattractive, considered to be an outsider, considered to be an ugly duckling, however you want to
Yeah.
put a label on that. And this character and the spirit that America brought to this character defied all of those stereotypes,
Yeah. Well,
and
she's truly an inspiration.
and showed an audience that that could be them.
Yes, yes, because she played a role that many Latinas out there are very coy and just like ugly Betty, like,
Yeah.
either overweight,
Mhm.
not the best looking person, and all that stuff, right? All these inhibitions that we have, that we allow these limitations to run amok in our brain, right?
Mhm.
But to
Mhm.
see on the screen that sí se puede, like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
gives us a lot of hope and inspiration, not only
Mhm.
for my age group, we're X Gen, but for the younger, the millennials, for the Z, what are they, the Z
The
Gens
wine is
now?
this, yeah, the Z.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So how beautiful, how amazing. Now, I know you've done so much work along the way, but another thing that I loved about what you've created and done is Gentefied.
Mhm.
I remember when I was watching Gentefied, I was like, God, this is so done so well. And not knowing who that it was you, the person that I was working out with created Gentefied. And I love the storyline. And coming from the immigration side, I'm a, immigration attorney. I thought, what a wonderful way to really introduce the world to what goes on in these families' lives. Because
Mhm.
sometimes they don't know that this person who's been with you for the past 40, 50 years is undocumented.
Yeah.
And
It
now that,
humanizes
yeah,
it humanizes the experience. And Marvin Lemus and Linda Yvette Chavez, who created the series, get the credit for unrelentingly planting their feet into the ground, saying, we're telling this story, and this part of the story is so critical to the experience of this family, and also so many families, not only in Boyle Heights and in the world that we're opening up, but around the states. And so we all worked very, very hard in lockstep to say this particular story is very, very important, especially in season 2, for that to be the real, main story. And how does a family deal with that? How do you say goodbye to someone who raised you your entire life? And and thinking, but isn't the journey to come to America? Isn't the dream to be in America and not to be sent somewhere where we are not familiar with?
yeah,
Especially when you're a dreamer, especially when you're born and raised here, and there's also someone who is going to remain nameless, but someone that that we work out with
mhm,
is in the DACA program.
yeah, yeah.
And they came to me and told me their experience, and ugh, they felt they trusted me enough to tell me their story and to say, you see me, and I don't tell my story very much, but now I feel like, oh, I belong here. This isn't my fault. This is my country too. And that's why we do it.
Yes.
If
I
you can just change one life,
mm,
and have somebody walk away and say, oh my God, my this show's for me. This country is for me. That's what lights me up every morning when I think about what kind of stories I need to make sure get out there and see the light of day.
oh my goodness. So what other stories are you working on to see
So
the light
there's
of day?
two things that I can mention, because
Okay.
one um, just got picked up to pilot, and sorry, and I've been working on it for about 2.5 years, and we're going to be making a pilot for Amazon for their new network, Freevee. And it's inspired by two young Latinas who did not know each other before coming into this project. I brought them together with my producing partner because they were both Cuban American. and one had more experience in writing, and one um, had this idea to bring this story to life. And so while they both have different experiences being born and raised in Hialeah, Miami, they took both of their experiences together. And now we're telling, it's a half-hour comedy about a family in Hialeah, who multi-generational, who is now kind of telling the Cuban story. And so for me, it reminds people too that being being brown skin doesn't, it's, you're not a monolith.
Mm.
There's Dominican, there's Cuban, there's Mexican American, there's Spanish, there's all of these. So these experiences are, they're specific, and beautiful in their own ways and different. And so I got really excited to tell that story. And so now we're going to be shooting that pilot later in the summer. And so people will get to see the experience of what it means for this family to navigate the world of Hialeah, through a 20 something's eyes when she moves home and has to kind of reassimilate to Hialeah when all she wanted to do was kind of live the white experience. So it's really super fun. It's really interesting, and it's so funny. I can't take it. These writers are so wonderful. And then another 1 hour that I'm developing at Apple Television is also based on on the real life of Jalissa Arce, who I'm sure you may know. Jalissa wrote a book, My Underground American Dream, and with the sure strength and will of a young Latina, she went to college. She got an internship at Goldman Sachs. She then got a full-time job there. She worked her way up the ladder to become a senior vice president in a very powerful, Fortune 500 company, all while being undocumented.
I love that. I love that.
And so, yeah, her having to navigate just living out loud, but in the shadows,
Yeah.
being, managing what her private life is, her relationship with her family, and also putting herself really into harm's way every day, because with one kind of false move,
Yeah.
it could send her and her family back to Mexico. So it's an incredibly moving, beautiful, powerful, dramatic story that is also filled with hope and inspiration and the sure will of this 20 something who is not only trying to navigate what it means to be a young 20 something, but also be an undocumented Latina in a world that is a man's world,
Mhm.
as well as one that is, one out of a cast of thousands, is you have the opportunity to get those jobs.
No kidding. Oh my God. What a way to break the glass ceiling, because seriously, being
Yeah.
undocumented in itself is already like a negative mark on your resume, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're constantly living in fear. Because I know,
Hmm.
as someone who has represented undocumented immigrants, they're like, well, can I really go there? I don't have my papers. And yes, you can. But as someone who does have her papers, I mean, it's easy for us to say that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And for Julissa, to come out to Goldman Sachs, one of the leading financial institutions of our country,
Hmm. The
having the
world.
chance
Yeah.
to do that, to be
Yeah.
that. And how beautiful that you have that opportunity to showcase this story,
Yeah.
highlight, highlight,
Yeah.
right? And how do you,
Yes. It's a privilege.
so Terry, so how do these stories come to you? Do you seek them out or they come to you?
In so many different ways. I seek them out. I read articles. I read books. I look for distinguished stories like this. They come to me a lot of times through agents and managers and people who know that this is part of my life's work. And also when you have success, in these in these kinds of worlds, people kind of, they know that you will fight, to the death to get these kinds of stories out there. So they come from all different ways and places, whether they come to me or I seek them out.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
America was the one who introduced me to Jalissa and asked me to come in and produce it with her. And so she read an article about Jalissa that was in Bloomberg, and she kind of seeked her out and chased her to try to, you know, get her to talk to her and tell her story. And so we've actually been developing it for almost 7 years.
what? Oh
Yeah,
my God.
7 years.
7 years?
So mhm.
Is that how long it takes? I'm coming from
No,
it from the non-Hollywood side, so I have
yeah.
no idea.
Typically it doesn't, but it's made its way through um, 4 networks. We've sold it 4 different times. 3 networks developed it and passed on it, and then I sold it again to Apple. And so it's gone through different machinations, 5 different writers, 4 different networks, 3 different studios. But we felt like it was so important and more relevant now than ever to make sure that that story gets told. I just never gave up on it.
Yeah, I heard you had a podcast earlier this year, and one of the things that you shared was that you are relentless. You will
Mhm,
read the scripts, 10, 15, whatever. Use your time. If you believe in it, you're going to get it done. Is this
mhm,
how you've always been in life?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that kind of discipline, I guess you would call it, started when I was a young girl, because I started working when I was in high school. I was a sophomore in high school because I wanted to be able to be independent. Don't ask me where that came from. Don't ask, because I don't know. I mean, my parents really did not instill, go out in the world and be independent and make your mark in the world, go to school, do all those things. I mean, my parents got a GED. They didn't even, graduate from high school. They got married. They met when they were 13, got married when they were 18. And so I think their hope for me was find a man, get married, have children, do that thing. And that just was not within my DNA. And so I think it was just early on feeling a certain kind of independence and desire to want to make a life for myself. And I don't think I've gone down any road that was easy. so, so I think it's just part of, oh, great. Now I'm going to pick this road,
It's part of
you
your
know?
DNA. The harder it is, the more I'm going to get into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And I don't think it's easy for anybody, male or female, but I think we have more, it's been harder for us historically, as women. And so I think I just always had that kind of fire in my belly because I knew it was necessary. Because I felt like early on in my career, people like me were overlooked in rooms full of men, and I love you men and all the men in my industry, but it was very much a boys club, and they loved hearing each other talk until you said, hang on a second. I have a thought, I have an idea, and you have to have the confidence and the strength to say, I have something to say, I have something to add. And I think that that's hard for a lot of people
Yeah, yeah.
because we don't think that we are smart enough. We don't think that we've earned that right. And all of that is just complete and total bullshit.
Out of bullshit. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you are as strong as you allow yourself to be, and you are as strong as those who you surround yourself by. And I'm very, I like to have my relationships are with people who are trying to do good things in the world, who have a strong point of view, who are not afraid to put themselves out there, who challenge themselves and each other, who are smarter than me, who can teach me something. I don't have to be the loudest voice in the room. I don't have to be the one that always has the right answer. I want to hear what everybody has to say, because life's a collaboration,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Exactly.
know.
There's a saying in Spanish that says, Dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. Tell me who you hang out with and I'll tell you who you
Who
are.
you are. Yeah,
And
it's
that's
true.
exactly what it is. Because if
It's true.
who you surround yourself with is who you are.
That's right. That's
And
exactly right.
I love what you're
Because you have
saying.
to be around people who will say, you know what, Terry, that's not right.
Yeah.
Or can I help you with that? Or I've done that. Can I show you how I did it? That excites me. And I hope that people have the confidence and the openness to just want to learn. And I always said that I will stop being a producer. I will stop being in this industry if I don't learn something new every day. And I've been doing it for 22 years,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
learn something new every day.
Wow. I think that should be a goal of every individual on this planet. Learn something new
Yeah,
every day.
new
Keep
every day.
growing. Keep growing,
Mhm.
right?
Have
Oh,
to,
yeah.
have to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can honestly say, I mean, coming from the legal field and kind of, I pivoted completely and everybody calling me crazy, like, what the heck are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, my heart is calling something else. And just listening to
Hmm.
that and just living intentionally,
Yeah,
living intention.
yeah.
I love what you're
Somebody, somebody said something really interesting to me the other day, and um, I wrote a note about it because I thought it was just so important to hear. I'll try to. Oh, so we we're here in this life for essentially three phases: being a master at your craft, a mentor, and then make a difference. Master, what you have chosen in your field or whatever that is. Put the hours in, put the time in, put the days in, put the years in, because you're only going to better what you're doing by putting the time and the work into it. Being a mentor is then taking what you've learned, all of that experience, everything that you've developed for your own and that wisdom,
doing.
and now passing that on to the next generation or to colleagues, contemporaries, and all of that. And then the third kind of piece of your life is make a difference.
Mm.
And so, what can you do? Use the real opportunities and the relationships that you have that you can actually make a difference in one person or many people's lives. And so, if you can do all of that,
Yeah.
which I feel like I've done a pretty good job of at this stage of my life, and I'm still
Yes.
working on, but I have to do, professional and personal things that are important for my own heart, for my family, for my friends, for a community, and then using the wisdom now that I have at this stage of my life to say, I'm gonna tell you this, and you're gonna tell me to go fuck myself. Excuse me. Um,
No, it's okay.
but you're gonna learn, or you're gonna hopefully think back at one point and say, you know what, that thing that Terry said to me, a couple of years ago, I should have thought about that. Because we think we know it all when we're young.
Oh God.
We think we have all the answers. We think we have had all the experience. We think that it's our way or no way. We defy what our parents tell us. We define what the elders tell us. But they're telling us for a reason because they've lived it.
Yeah.
And at least if you take it in and you think about it, and if it makes sense for you in your life, at least contemplate it,
Yeah. Yes.
and then you're going to do what you're going to do. But be open to hearing, if I knew then what I know now, I may have done that. So think about doing that so that you can open a door for yourself earlier in your life.
Yeah.
Things like that. So I think it's important to master what you do, to be a mentor, and then do whatever you can to try to make a difference.
Make it, and you're making a
Yeah.
difference. in what you're creating. I mean, literally, you are a creative genius, and I'm so excited for the new projects that are coming, and just so many more things. I know that we're getting to
I
the
would
end of.
say, just to correct you, I have the good fortune
uh,
of being around creative geniuses.
mm,
And it's their voices, it's their stories,
mm,
it's their lives and communities and personal experiences. Because I do a lot of development with people who are bringing their own personal experiences. And then I have the experience as a producer to help get them to do their best work, to tell the best story. And so they get the credit for being the creative geniuses. I've just put myself in the position to reap the benefits of those incredible voices.
Oh, well, we're definitely reaping the benefits of this interview with you, Terry. I always ask my guests if they could provide one or two tips on how an amiga can handle her shit, because girl, you have been handling your shit.
You know what? I think it's just a lot of what I've said over the course of this conversation is that you are important. You have a value. You belong in this life. We are all here because we're meant to be here at this place at this time. And so you have something to give, not only to yourself, you owe it to yourself to give yourself the best experience of your life, but you also have a responsibility as someone in your community to help open doors for others so that they can come banging on that door too and find their way in. So I think it's spend less time about thinking what you can't do. Think about what you can do, what you can give, what you are capable of, and not live in the fear of, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm I don't belong here. This is not my journey. Well, fuck yes, it is.
Mm.
Absolutely it is. And Pixie, our workout guru, always says to us, the safest place that you have is here.
Yes, the
And you
heart.
have to go here first and say, I feel good, I feel safe, I feel strong. And
Mm.
now I can open up and use my voice because what do you have to lose?
Right.
What do you have to lose? You have all to gain. If somebody doesn't agree with you, then that's okay. Then you create a conversation. If you aren't aligned with someone and it doesn't feel good to your own soul and vibration, then don't have them in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But creating conversations about things about our personal experiences what pushes the needle forward.
Yeah.
And so when people tell me they can't, or they're not strong enough, or
Mhm.
that nah, I don't think that's quite right for me. I want to shake them and say, give me your hand. Let's go.
Let's go. Oh
You
my
know,
God. I
yeah.
and that's how I felt when you
Which
suggested.
was yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When you suggested, she's like, try those 8 pounders, see how it goes. And I had the best workout ever because I tried it. And amigas, y'all know that I have MS and all this bullshit stuff. But it doesn't define me. And so, what a beautiful opportunity to be in Terry's space where she sees something and she's like, no, you can do the 8 pounders. So,
And
amigas,
I'm in other space that say, you can go up in weights, you can try this. I know that you're dealing with an injury, but you're okay. You're safe. You can do it. And so I think when we make each other feel strong and safe, what else matters? Because we care about each other. And I've seen you grow as an athlete in those rooms when you used to come in and think, I can't do that. I'm not ready for that. And now you're doing it all. And
yeah.
you have to be an athlete to be in those rooms. I really believe that because it's hard.
Yes. Oh yeah, Pixie kicks our butt all the time.
Yeah. But it you show yourself if you try something new, if you just try. you do your best version of you. And then that also proves to you, oh, wait, I feel strong physically. Oh, wait, my shoulders, they're kind of back more. I feel like when I walk into a room, people know I mean business. Oh, that's what your amigas need to know. There's none of this.
None of
None
this
of that.
slouch and hovering and no.
Because this means I am not confident. I'm not ready to be here. This is, hello, I'm in the room and I have something to say.
That's right.
So shove those shoulder blades together. Those are the wings.
Yes, yes.
The wings.
I have a friend who says that her mom says, hija, chichis para arriba.
That's right.
Boobs.
That's right. That's right.
Chichis para arriba.
Because people notice that. They notice when you walk into your room, your posture speaks before you say a word.
Yeah.
And when you feel intimidated going in somewhere, you don't have to say anything. Just put those shoulders back, open those wings, those confident muscles.
Yeah.
And go to work.
And chichis para arriba.
And chichis para arriba. Yes. I love that. Well, I love you, friend.
I love you
Thank
so
you
much. Thank you so much for being here. It is such an honor. And I just can't wait for amigas to hear this episode. Oh my God, I'm truly blessed completely and honored. And I can't wait to see you
feel the same
at Pixie's class. Love you.
Me too, honey. Love you too. Have an amazing day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.